camera. Gonna do packet tracer today. As we're gonna get ready for switches and routers this week, next week. So. We'll start in a few minutes. If you want to get started, you can. Hi, how are you doing? Okay, so before we get started, I think I have a few minutes, just trying to get everybody to come in. But anyway, I met with Robert Half and the district this morning. We've been working on the apprenticeship project outside of launch apprenticeship. So most of you who are in the apprenticeship program, if you sign the agreement with launch, that's through launch, right? That's through Patty and Charles and our director of apprenticeships, either John at RCC or Rosalinda here. You do have a second option. This is Robert Half Cyber Security Apprenticeship Program. And as many of you already completed some of the courses, you are qualified to do this. They have, what I'll do is I'll post this in the announcement for the course after this class. I just got this today, actually. So you can apply through them, and Robert Half actually registered with the Department of Labor the same way that we register as launch in the district with the Department of Labor. Now, the positive side of being with Robert Half is that you do have a larger pool of employer. They are focusing on Inland Empire employer, but doesn't necessarily mean that they will find you particularly really close to where you live. They do have employers outside of Inland Empire. They have told me that you know, you have the options, and they do have a job description. Let me see if I can. Oh, actually, maybe she didn't send it to me yet. But it is a cybersecurity analyst position. That's what you're going to be going for. The employers that are going to be helping you, assessing you, and then you are going to have a counselor through Robert Half. So if you like to apply, you can use the QR. And when you apply, you will go through the process with them. They will likely reach out to me or the faculty that's overlooking certain campus like Skip Berry at RCC and myself here at MVC. And then we will work with them with the recommendation of the student. So you will likely have to submit the resume. They use an IBM system assessment type of program where it's going to assess your skills based on what you currently learn or you have learned before. So if you like to, you can check that out. Their apprenticeship program, as you can see here, is going to be a year to a year and a half, but it does include 50 hours of IBM apprenticeship training program. The base pay for the position is $20 an hour, which is higher than some of our existing employers. Some employers pay higher, some employers pay less. It depends, right? But they all have to be a little bit above minimum wage. So the analyst position starts at $20 an hour, and they do have a pay scale with the employer. That means that after a certain period of time, you are going to get a raise after you pass your probationary period usually. Now, a long time ago, I worked with Robert Half. They are an IT staffing agency. They now expanded into the apprenticeship program. If let's say that you do the apprenticeship with or without Robert Half, down the line, you can always use Robert Half and other IT staffing agencies. They specifically focus on IT type of positions. From what I remember was they didn't even look at any kind of resume unless you have one certification. But now, since they're doing apprenticeship, I think they're a little bit more flexible. And if you want to move to a certain location, I'm assuming that they do have other location and so on. So this is a national company. So it is, you know, they do have a larger pool of employers. So that's an option for you. You can check them out, but I will post this flyer in the course for Canvas. And then, you know, in case you need to reference it, you can. And I will ask the manager for this project to give me the job description so you can see specifically what they're looking for. They are going to look for a little bit more advanced compared to some of our apprenticeship position here. And it varied from employer to employer, but I think they have a base. They require that you have to complete at least a few courses, at least one semester of coursework in IT and cybersecurity. So if you start out, if you already completed CIS27, I think that's what they're looking for, along with this course and some other like Python programming. I know that they look for that. They asked me about it a while back. So they have a list of courses that they will assess you based on their program. So they model it after the program that I have submitted, and they branch off and they expanded it to a little bit more in the analyst side versus the specialist. You know that that's different level, right? Specialist is lower. So In the long run, analyst position is going to be something more in the longevity. It's going to require a little bit higher skills. So check that out and then let me know if you have any questions. You can also contact them. They have a regional direct or a manager that manages this along with a couple other people. So right now this project is going to be small. I think it's going to grow very quick. And I'm also helping colleges that doesn't get on board with the apprenticeship program as well. So I will work with them, trying to get them to be joining Robert Half as well. So it's a little bit different, but if you want an IT staffing agency to help you, this is the way. And you also are gonna get free coursework to free tuition, just like how you have with the apprenticeship, because it's a state incentive. So they will verify and then they will work with, you know, our schools to be able to make sure that you have the tuition covered. So Albert Half is an option, okay? But if you are happy with launch and, you know, if you want to stay with launch, that's fine. I had asked them today, I said, what happens if my students started with launch and they want to transition to Robert Half? And they said, that's fine. On the system, they just need to move some things over and they will take care of it. So, all right. So any questions? Okay. So today we are going to do Packet Tracer. I know some of you are familiar with Packet Tracer. I know Cyber Patriot use Packet Tracer. Some of you have taken courses that use Packet Tracer. I took some of their activity and I kind of sized it down. I wanted to, and I double checked to see if it works, because sometimes some of the activities posted, and even on Cisco, sometimes it doesn't work. But Net Academy is, Cisco Academy is very popular, and so you have access to certain courses, but then if you are in their track, you can also, you know, some schools subscribe to Cisco Academy like RCC does. NBC does it because we focus a little bit more on like CompTIA and other certifications. So, but you have access to NetAcad for free. So if you go on campus and you check out lab 7-1, you will find NetAcad website, which goes to the Packet Tracer, okay? So once you click that link, you are going to get here, okay? And the first time, if you haven't used it before, all you have to do is scroll down and you have access to a free course called Intro to Packet Tracer. Packet Tracer been around for a long time. The current version that they're using is the 8. I've taught Packet Tracer in older versions, and I think this version is really nice. It's stable and it's great. However, Cisco, you know that they use proprietary, it's proprietary technology, right? If they're giving you some stuff for free, it's not going to be a full, it doesn't have all the features and bells and the whistle, but Packet Tracer is a free product that's provided by Cisco. Another option that you can use is GSN3. Looks very familiar. If you took Python programming and networking with me, you probably have seen it. And so that's an open source compared to Packet Tracer. The interface is slightly different. The downside in GSN3 is that you're not going to have all the images that you would have provided by Cisco. So, but you can use other images like, you know, OS or like Jupyter. You can find a lot of different type of routers and switches, and their OS is a little different. Their images are different. So here you're going to click Learn More, and then you can sign up today and choose English. Okay, so that's the first few steps. Here is where you would fill out your information. You can use your school email. Make sure you complete this. And so when you use your Packet Tracer with Net Academy, you need to log in for most part, because that's the way that they can control their license. Okay, in the past, it was just an executable. But once you have your executable, you can put it on your flash drive, or you can store it somewhere so you can access it later. I used to I used to distribute the executable before they start requiring this, but now when I start reading the licenses and the agreement, I can't do that anymore. So that's why you have to sign up. Okay, if you already have one, you just simply gonna log in. Okay, so let me log in. And so once you have signed up, you have to go to your email account to validate and activate your NetAcad account. Okay. Now, just real quick, on the top, you do see some courses that you can. I encourage you to go through. If there are free courses that you can take it. Okay. And you can add that to your resume. So from today and on, right, like get good at Packet Tracer, put that on your resume. Even though it is a simulator, a lot of companies use it to, you know, simulate network and test it before they implement solutions. So it's important. So there are additional courses here, but what you're gonna do is you are going to go to resources and you are going to download Packet Tracer. So this is where we're going to be able to get it. Of course, you can find other websites on the internet that release Packet Tracer illegally, but you want to go to the source. And Cisco does a good job with supporting education. They do give away scholarships and things like that annually. You can also check them out. I've been to their campus a few times. It's very nice, okay, very large. So once you click this, it's gonna take you here, and then you're gonna scroll down and you are going to choose the version that you're using. So if you're on a Mac OS, you want to download this. If you're using Linux, you want to download this. So I'm using Windows 10 right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and click download 64-bit, and it's gonna put it onto the download folder. Okay, then I can go find it. So here it is. You just double click it, and then you have to accept the license agreement. Click next, 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 install. You can put a shortcut, or if you want quick launch, you can add that on there, and then click install. Okay, so keep everything default and then install. This takes a few minutes. So while it's going, what I want to do is switch back to our assignment. So after you activate your account, you can remain logging in, and then you would download the Packet Tracer. That's what we did, and then we did the installation. Okay. So normally you would want to start with the topology. Topology is going to give us a bigger view on how our network is going to be. So on this one, we're just going to simulate your home network, possibly, right, with a Cisco.com server with the DNS. So this is what it's going to look like by the time that you're done with part C. Okay. Now, after you have your topology and looking from a network engineer perspective, right? So first you are going to draw your topology. Then you need to set up your IP addresses, your information about your system, and that's important. Okay. So here it tells you that these are the information that you need to configure usually. Okay. And it tells you what the IP would be. And they're using IP4 here. Okay. Now, when you're done, you are going to save your file, and it is in the format of PKT, which is for Packet Tracer. And you would use Packet Tracer application to open it. Okay, so you can always go back to that you know, topology, that network simulation after you're done. Okay, so once we have everything completed, installed, we are going to click finish. And this is going to open. Okay, so it's going to ask you, would you like to have multi-user application to start? I'm going to say no, because I'm not using that. Okay, and this is going to open up, and we have to give access because Windows Firewall sees it now. Now here, all you have to do is you just click Networking Academy. And then it might ask you to log in again. And you can select with the glider to keep you logged in. Sometime I leave things hanging around for a while I'm working on different things. So here is your packet tracer. Interface is much better than version 7 or 6 or 5, right? Just a quick run real quick. You're gonna see this mode. This is gonna be a real-time mode and it's gonna default to that. If you want to simulation, you can choose this mode. So like, let's say that I draw the topology and I connect all the cable and the equipment together and I configure after I'm done, if I wanted to see what that looks like in simulation, I just click the simulation mode. Your devices are gonna be down here, okay? And they are categorized. So if you want to draw the network that we are asked to do today, you are going to put your cursor on the wireless devices, which is the fourth one from on the bottom, this one right here, right in the middle. Okay. And then you can choose. So we don't have any the end devices are listed right here. So this is where you're going to select your devices. Okay. Now, if I wanted to start with a wireless router, I would just slide it across. And then I'm going to look, hold on one second. So I'll just go ahead and choose the home router. Okay. And you can put that over here. Now, if you don't like that, you can drag it back. Okay, sorry. You can put it back. Okay. Or if you want a different router, you can put it right like this. So what it tells you to do is you can use a wireless router. Okay. And when you double click it, it's going to take you into the configuration of that device. Okay. And you're going to have multiple options. You can go to the graphical user interface where you can actually, you know, like how you would use 192.168.0.1, it's IP to log in. It's exactly that. Or you can set up how the interface, how you would connect it logically this way. So what we see is we have the logical and the physical connection, but it's going to default to the logical. So that's how you're able to get into the configuration side of each device. Now, when you work with routers, like regular router and switches, when you double click it, you are going to see the command line, right, in one of the tabs, and that's how you're able to access it. Okay. So if you want to practice programming the router in their command line in Cisco, right, the Cisco OS, you can, they call it OSI, you can or the iOS, you can just simply drag it onto your workspace and then double click it. Okay. All right. So here, basically, I show with little arrow, right? You want to click select your options, your category, and then you're going to select the device and then drag it onto your workspace. Okay. And then on the next step, you can start adding the devices like how the topology diagram is. So going back up here, what we need to add next is the PC, the laptop, the cable modem, and then we want to represent other networks by doing internet and then your cisco.com server. Okay. So what you're going to do is now we can go into end devices on the left, and then you just drag the PC in, and then you can drag the laptop in. And then if you want the cloud, you can just, sorry, I forgot where they put this. sorry, you have to go here. And then you can just put like a cloud. You can move it up if you want. Now you can always relabel these, okay, by double clicking the label. And then if you wanted to call it like internet, you can just say internet like this, right? Really easy. Then if you click the cloud option on the bottom, you should also find a cable modem. Okay, which is here, this one. Okay. So what it's telling you to do is we want to add all of the devices and then we can connect. Okay. So let me find server. I'm going to put the server there. Let's move this person here. All right. So you drop your devices in there. Okay. And then what you would have is you would have different options down here, but we are going to do the connection. So I think we left off at about 17. So I'm going to start with the Wi-Fi router. Okay. So once you have added the wireless router, you're going to double click it and then you are going to click config. Okay. And that will be here. And you can name it how they want you to name it. That's fine. So in a real network, we want to keep the name uniform, right? So we can change the name there. So let's say that's a 0. Oh, it didn't let. Okay, I want to say wireless. Okay. Then now what we're gonna do, so they tell you that you can go into the interface. Then what you're gonna do is you are going to look at the physical cabling between the device. The only one that needs cabling is gonna be your router to the cable modem, right? And then also your cable modem to the internet, which is the service provider network, and then your Cisco.com. Okay, so now each of the device, you have to select its interface, how it's connected, right? Like the port, okay? So if we have a PC and here it tells you the type of modules that you can add. I think I selected yeah, so if you want like the 1 gig Ethernet, you can just simply drag it. Sometimes the module doesn't, it's not compatible, then it'll tell you. Let me redo the PC. See. Okay, all right, this is how we do it. So on the PC, if you want to configure anything, you are going to select like these options. Like if I want to go to command prompt, right, you just choose desktop and then this. If you want programming on it, you choose this. Here's this attribute, and then there's configuration here. So we have the fast Ethernet, and what you can do is you can choose it for DHCP, okay? Because if you look back at what they're asking here is that, see how it says Ethernet and DHCP? So for that interface, you are gonna get a dynamic IP, and the default gateway is this, okay? So what I did was I double click the PC, let me go back. I double click this, or I click it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and choose the interface here, which is my fast Ethernet 0. I'm gonna select the HCP, okay, for my IPv4. And then before I configure the IP address, I wanted to make sure that I obtain an IP address there. Okay, so that's how you can change the settings on the configuration, like the properties in Windows, that kind of thing. All right, now then I love Cisco instructions. It's so it's not very good. Sorry, I should have just rewritten this. Okay, so once you have this, so what it's showing here is that you would be able to select the interface and be able to do that. So for the fast Ethernet 0 for the PC, and then the Ethernet 1 for the wireless interface. So I'm done with the PC. Let's go back here. Okay. And then for the this one, I can't add it. Let's move you back. Sorry. Hold on. Fine. Let's choose the home router. Maybe that's better. Okay. All right. So on this one, on the module. Okay. So for the config, we're just going to go ahead and choose LAN. Okay. So it already has that settings for us. Okay. So that will be 1 gig. And then for the cable modem, we're going to connect it to the internet in the cloud, and then the device, and you are going to use the coaxial and the straight through cable. Okay. Save to.
What's she doing?
It doesn't let me. Yeah, that's not how you cable on this. Sorry, they changed the interface, so let's edit. Undo. Yeah. Thank you. So here, click the lightning rod, and then you can choose. So if you put your cursor on each of these, you will be able to find the type of cable, right? So if I go here, if I choose this, it says copper straight through. So that means that you're gonna, if for the straight through, that's your basically your Ethernet and so on. Okay. So if I want to connect, I would click on the PC and I choose the interface, this one, right? And then I can select this, and then I choose the Giga Ethernet one. That's what they mean in the instructions. Okay. And then if you want other type of cable, then you just have to go down the list and you choose. So let's see. I think it talks about coaxial is the blue one right here. Okay. And then we are going to do this to the internet. So you're going to select that port 1. Cable cannot be connected to the port. So I have to reselect port 0, and then we're gonna connect there. Let me- Yeah, I think I have a cloud that doesn't have this, so. Okay, so let's, oh no, I don't want that. So let me put that in there. All right. So I'm gonna change my, okay, I want to change this. Let's see if this works. Okay, so I had to change the cloud type because the empty one doesn't work. So if you select your end device and then choose the cloud, you would see these, and you're going to choose the PT cloud. And when you connect it with the coaxial, right, you wanted to connect it to the coaxial to coaxial there. Okay. Then now if you wanted to connect, right, for this one, it's just going to be an Ethernet cable to that. Copper straight through. Okay. Something like that. You can move it up and down to make it look like what they have. And then we just need to connect this guy to the cloud here, right? So if you go to that, it will just be another straight through. So this kind of gives you a little bit of review on what kind of cable you need. Okay. And then of course, this is going to be wireless. All right. So after we have all the things set up, then what you're going to do is you are going to set up the configuration. So once we have the cable connected, then now we are going to configure the wireless router. Okay. So you just simply click it. And then you're going to go to the GUI. And it tells you here that in the wireless router configuration, the GUI tab, you are going to go to next tab, and then you are going to look at the settings. So make sure that you're in the settings, and then you're going to change the SSID to home network. Okay. So you can type that in. So once you have that, then you are going to configure, do the setup tab, and then do the DHCP. So just exactly like how you would do this, and this is a Linksys router, you can tell by the interface. So in this right here, let me see. Okay. So DHCP enable, we have that. And then your SSID is in the wireless. Sorry, the instructions were written probably from a different interface. So here is where you would change up your say home network. And then you can also say home network here. Okay. All right. Then once you have changed that, we just want to verify that your DHCP is enabled. We saw that in the settings. And so, and it says to select it and configure the static IP address of the DNS server to this. So we want to make sure that we put in the static for the DNS. Back over here. So the static DNS stuff is here. So you need to click on setup and then you are going to type in the IP address. So the IP address is 208 and then dot 67.220.220. Okay. All right. So we put in the DNS and then you save. Any questions? So that's how you're able to configure your wireless. Okay, if you wanted to expand it. So make sure that you put in the DNS. Make sure that we check the DHCP's enable and then we change the I didn't click save earlier, so save settings. Okay, save settings on the bottom. Okay, then we are going to look at the laptop. So once you have that, close that, come back here, double click the laptop. Now it has an Ethernet port, but what we want to do is we want to use this right here. Okay, so when you click on the laptop, you are going to first configure the interface, and that's how usually what packet tracer, when you use the devices, is going to be like that. Okay, so it says click on the laptop icon and the packet tracer logical workspace. In the laptop configuration window, select the physical tab. And in the physical tab, you are going to remove the Ethernet module and you are going to add the wireless WPC300. Okay. So here's the physical tab. And you are going to just simply take this and put it back over here. Does it cannot remove? Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot. You have to power it off. Click this power button. When it's green, it's on, so click it off first. And then you can take out the module. Then you're gonna drag the WPC300 to it. So basically we're replacing the adapter there. Okay, so once you have that, what you're gonna do is you are going, so it shows you that here, right? Make sure that it's power off. Okay. So once you have that module, then now you're on wirelessly. Okay, then click on the desktop tab to configure. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add it to the network now. So desktop, Oh, I always forget to do that. See that? Power on. And then desktop. So make sure we click the power back on and then desktop. So once you're in the desktop, it tells you here that you are going to select the PC wireless icon, and then you are going to look for the wireless network. Okay. So PC wireless is this little one, right? The one with the wireless symbol. We're going to click that. And then at this point, what we're going to do is we are going to set up the network for the wireless. So as you can see, like it tried to simulate what you would get with the regular system where you have to power it off, you have to unplug, right? And take out the adapter and then replace the adapter. So after you're in the wireless, okay, then you are going to select the connect tab, and then you're going to find the home network. Connect tab is here, okay, and then you're going to select the home network and connect. Okay, so that's how it's able to simulate. So if you don't have the SSID change, it will not list it here. Any questions? Okay. So here is like a screenshot of that, but it didn't list the home network, but you would find it in the list here. So once you're connected to that wireless network, you can close. Okay. And then come back to this. So now you should see a little set of lines showing that you're connecting. Now we are going to go back to the PC, and we are going to check on the PC settings. So then what you're going to do is you are going to go to the desktop tab, and then you are going to click on IP configuration icon. Then in that, you are going to select the DHCP, and then so that way it becomes a DHCP client, and it's going to obtain the IPv4. Okay, so desktop. And IP config. Okay. Which is this one. Make sure that we enable DHCP for IPv4. And then you can close that. Then you are going to, that's a screenshot. Then you are going to go to command prompt. So once we have enabled that, we can close this. We can go back to the PC and then go to command prompt, which is the fourth box on the right. Okay. Then you can type in ipconfig /all, press enter. And I'm not getting an address. Let's see. Let's close this and restart that. Oh, I'm using the wrong cable. Sorry. Let's undo this. Okay. Yeah, earlier I was using this and it didn't like that. So, but when you see the green, that means it's connected. So I'm on the red. Let me see why it's doing that. I didn't save this. 6, 7. Let me see why it's not giving me the down. Okay, so it should be getting an IP, but it's showing me a PIPA still. I'm missing something. Internet is down. Okay, now it does it. So it takes a second to go. So if you see like the little red dots, just give it like a minute for it to kick in. It's software. So just make sure that we have all the green triangles. Okay. Now you should be able to get some kind of IP address. Okay, from it. So we should have internet now. Okay. Then you are going to, after you have done that for the laptop, then you do the desktop. And then for the cloud, they want you to use the PT Cloud NM1CX. Okay. Now, if you don't have certain module in your packet tracer, you can probably find them via Cisco. Usually it has most, but it might not have everything. Okay. So that's the PT Cloud. Okay. And the module that they want, let me see if it has it, NM1CX. And M1CX is this one. Okay, so make sure that you add it. Do not add the, oh, see, I always switch the power off and then drag it. So that would be the adapter that we added to that modem. And then switch it back on to configure. Now you should have. So for B26, right, we want to make sure that we turn the modem off and then add this one. And it says switches the cable modem service connecting and the PT Cloud NM1CFE is going to be connecting to the Ethernet cable connection. So you can also add that one. So if we come back here, right, the CFE is this one, so power it off, then take that and add it. So earlier I had selected the Ethernet. I used an existing Ethernet, but I think they want you to use the CFE to connect to the cloud. So turn it back on. And then you can also check your port. Okay. So that's how you're able to add interface. Now, when you look at the ports, I think they want you to do which one here? Okay, the cloud. Then you just click here. So the attributes is only gonna be for like, you know, the properties that would relate to that. It should list the ports, is listed there. So it will tell you like which is up and which is down. So I have the Ethernet 6 and the coaxial is up, the rest of them are down. So just put your cursor on that. Okay, so make sure we identify the ports for the cloud. So you need to connect the coaxial. Okay. So usually when you have devices that use coaxial, you do coaxial to coaxial and then Ethernet to Ethernet. That's just pretty obvious physically, right? So, and here it says that on the first drop box of the coaxial, then the second drop box to choose the Ethernet. So when you connect devices like this, before when we connect, when you choose a cable, it's going to ask you which one. That's what they meant, is the menu that it's giving you for the port. Okay. So the coaxial is in blue. That's how I connected it earlier. So I have coaxial 7 to this one, which has a coaxial port. Okay. All right. Let's configure the DHCP server. You click on that. And on the DHCP server, this is what they want. Select the DHCP service from the services on the left pane. Then in the DHCP configuration, right, you're going to click turn on the DHCP. And then the pool name is this. Just like how we set it up with Microsoft, we would then set that up there. Okay. So under services, DHCP, right? And then you would put in the pool name. And then the default gateway is 208.7.220.220. And then your DNS server is the same. And then the range, we are going to do 208.67.220.1 to, so that's the starting IP address. So you would have 50 users there. And then your subnet mask is 255, 255.0, I believe. Okay, the maximum user, we're going to put 50. Okay, then just take a screenshot of that for the lab. And then you are going to configure the DNS. So in here, once you're done with DHCP, you are going to click on DNS. And we want to have the service on. Then you're going to type in the name. It's going to be cisco.com. That's your fully qualified domain name. And it's going to have an A records. So that's fine. It's going to default to that. All DNS server uses that to resolve hosts to IP. And then it's going to go to the starting IP address. It's going to be 208.67.220.1. Oh, I'm sorry. The address is 208.67.220.220. And then it tells us to click the add. So your A records is going to tie to that server IP, right? Microsoft Wizard, when we did this, it automatically set this up for us. But on other systems, you have to manually add the A records or any other type of records for the DNS. So it uses that file to be able to associate, right, the fully qualified domain name to the IP address. That's what it's doing. Okay, take a screenshot when you finish your DNS, and you can click. Oh, it doesn't let you save on that on this one. Okay, just take a screenshot there. Then we are going to configure the global settings, and this is equivalent to what you see in the Forest architecture with Active Directory in Microsoft environment. So we are going to tie the gateway in and the IP address into the DNS in the global settings. So come here. So go to Config tab and then click on the settings. And then configure the global settings. Config tab, settings. This is global settings, right? And then for the display name, we can put cisco.com. Actually, I'm going to keep it lowercase because I think I had the other stuff lowercase. All right. Then your default gateway is 208.67.20.01. 208. And then your DNS is 208. 220.2. What does it say? Invalid DNS. Okay. All right. So then take a screenshot after you set up your global settings. And then we are going to configure the interface or your adapter. So we are going to go to the Fast Ethernet interface settings, and then we are going to click on the config tab. I wonder if you can, it doesn't let you change it through that. Let me see if you can do it this way. Yeah, you can definitely do it that way. Okay, so you can configure IP this way, right? Like you can click the server, you can go to IP config, and then you can set it up there. Okay, so if you wanted to put static IP, which you should for your server, and then your subnet mask, it should automatically fill that in. Okay, and then you already set up the DNS earlier, so it sees that. All right, so once you set up your static IP for your server, and you can do it through the interface or you can do it through the IP config on desktop. Oh, okay. Did I miss that earlier? Yeah, the default gateway is 220.1. Yes, thank you. You have that. It's so small, I can't see. All right, that's good. I think I have a mismatch. Let me fix the other problem. Okay, so once we're done, okay, then you can go back to your PC, and then you would do the IP config renew and see if it's able to pull the address. Okay, so desktop, and then command prompt, right? There you go. So you should have the new IP address. So it should update it now. Once everything is connected and configured, you should have a renewed address. I have a .2. Okay, so when you're done and you're done playing with it, right? You can close this out, and then what you do is you just go ahead and click the save button, and then just give it a name. So here we can name it, you know, anything you want actually. Just you can do packet tracer activity, home network activity.pkt, and so on. Now, I wanted to implement this just to show you how you can actually access one that's already been created. You can open it up, and so you can see other devices. Okay. And this gives you a little bit of practice with cabling. So you should have like these devices set up, and then it shows you how you're going to connect to the switch. So the purpose in this is you're going to end up having something like this. So if you have red dots, that just means that either there's some issues, configuration issues or cabling issues. Okay. So for part D, this last one, you're going to download the file. You can find that on Canvas. It's this one right here. I put that up. So I already downloaded it. Now in Packet Tracer, you just go click the folder, and then yes. 7-1. No, I don't want to open. Okay. So they give you the label here, and all you have to do is just to drag the PC in, right? Your end device, put the PC in, the PC in, put the PC in, and then on this side too, easy. Give you some practice. And then now you can look for switches. Click this. So they want a certain model because Cisco uses different model switches, and they are different, right? With sometimes, mostly the command is going to be the same. Some of the switches use slightly different command. So 2960, so you're going to look for the 2960 and drop that in there. And keep in mind that the inventory for packet tracer, you can have more switches than this, right? You just gotta download additional files. And then we're gonna put the, okay. So when I connect a switch to a switch, okay, that will be bridging. Now, most of the new switches, you can use regular Ethernet cable, but some of the older switches you have to use, like, you know, either they use serial or you have to use the crossover because they're the same type of device. We want to do that. So when you cable this, and if you wanted to make it look like what it's shown here, right, you put these in, and then it tells you what to use here. Okay, so you are going to use the fast Ethernet to the fast Ethernet 2, so 0 to 2, 0 to 3, 0 to 1, 0, and so on. Okay, so we're going to use this. We're going to start with the fast Ethernet 0, click on the switch. We're going to put it on the 1. Then we're going to do the same thing here. Oops. And so on. Now they talk about how you can use control to select multiple. Okay. So from the switch to the switch, see how it's using the dotted line? So we are going to choose the dotted line, and then we're going to go from here to here. So now you have a small segment on the left, and you're going to establish a second segment on the right. So again, this. And packet tracer can be fun, you know. You can design your own network and connect and configure it and see if it works, right? And if there's misconfiguration, you go and fix it. And again, if you see red dots, that's okay. It's going to take like a minute for it to kick in. See how it changes to green? So give it a little bit of time. All right. And that is it. Take a screen capture of your wonderful drawing and cabling. So your topology. Now, so if I want to scale out this network, let's say this is like a home business, right? Or let's say a small business. Everybody is peers here, right? So I can throw in, right? I can add in a server on one of the segments, and then I can add in security appliances. I can add in a wireless segment, right? Put a Wi-Fi router on one of the switch, and then I just need to make sure that I either logically protect the wireless traffic from the rest of the network. So you can put in some firewall, internal firewall inside, and then intrusion detection system. So you can definitely scale it out with just that. So normally when I do simulation for network or design, I start with, you know, either the corporate office and then I scale it out, or like, you know, a location, and then I would start scaling. That's how you can just start adding things in and see how it looks. And then you can simulate it by just configuring it. So once you connect the cable, you can go in and you can look at IP addresses, you can look at the settings, you can turn on services, and so there you go. Okay. And if you're not sure which port is up and down, you just put your cursor on it and then be able to get some information for that particular device. Okay. There we go. So normally packet tracer stuff is done in like weeks. So what I did was I took 3 lessons and I put it into one. We're not gonna have that much time. But in the future, we might come back to it. So my plan for Thursday would be that we would start with installing, because a lot of times simulators and Cloud Lab is great in that it gives you everything ready to go and everything works. But when you start doing it yourself, you're gonna realize, oh, well, they didn't list this step and it's not here. And so we're gonna start with installing OS for our switches and router, like out of the box. Okay. We are gonna look up the model and get the image, and we're gonna install it. Then we are gonna open it and we're gonna configure in command line, and we're gonna do it for a few weeks because, and there is a course that just focuses on that itself, right? That's the 4DD, but I want you to at least have an understanding, number one, to configure a switch that is layer 3 and up, like layer 4 switch. Number 2, we need to set up the at least 1 or 2 routers. Okay, we can't really connect them out except for, because the routers, I think maybe one is using Ethernet, but at least you would know how that works. And how we're going to talk about router protocols and things like that. So since we only have like about an hour-ish for each, what I like to do is I like to break that up into like maybe multiple sections. And then when you're done with the switch and the router, you connect them and then you connect your PC to it. So simulate exactly what you did there. And then you can also run a virtual machine on another PC to simulate a server. And there you go, you have a network. Okay. But I want you to experience the physical. I did mount some of the other ones on the rack. I probably have to take them down in the back and then we'll put it on the rolling racks so we can start working on those. And I'm thankful that it is a small class, so we can, but I will take a look at the model and I will write down at least some of the instructions for you so you can at least get started with that. When I was at COD, we bought a bunch of used equipment and we were able to start from scratch. And this particular class, like this at COD, we started like small little networks and connect them together. It was pretty fun. So we'll work on those for the next few weeks because I think, the server stuff you can also get from another class, and then, but you get the main idea. So we'll have cable, we'll install everything, and then we're good to go. Yeah. All right. Okay. If you're done with this, submit it. And I promise today I'm going to catch up with your class grading because I did with the other classes already. And then I will add your notes and your assignments.